Good afternoon. My name is Ray Schmidt. I'm from the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities in Lancaster, Ohio. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Alan Young. I've known Alan for a long time. He does not attend any of our programs. I have never found this man a job. And to the best of my knowledge, he does not have a known disability, or at least not diagnosed yet. He, with the exception of the fact that he lives next door to me. Alan and I have shared a property line for 25 years, and in all that time, we have a lot in common. We're about the same age. We both have kids. We both married wives that are way too good for us. Every so often, we have to be reminded of that. Yeah, we are. And we both drive these really cool Toyota Tacoma pickup trucks, which might seem kind of lame to some of you, but after 9 minivans between us, let me tell you, what you really want is anything with just 2 seats. It was this or the Maserati, and we could afford this. What's more interesting, though, is that after all that time, all the things that Alan and I don't have in common. We work at different places. We go to different churches. We have a different circle of friends. We have different interests, different hobbies, different habits. Alan is the guy that the day after Thanksgiving, he decorates his house beautifully for Christmas. I'm the guy who hangs Santa and effigy off the front tree on Christmas Eve. I'm that guy. Now, these differences should surprise absolutely none of us, because it's those differences that make us unique. This is how we approach life. In essence, it really can be the start of our own personal definition of community. I find the word community really interesting. We use it a lot in this field, but I often think that we're using different definitions of this word. I've heard a lot of different definitions. One person just last week told me that their definition of community was anytime you're in the company of somebody else who isn't paid to take care of you. I found that one kind of interesting. Other people, as managers, often, with my staff, you're saying, okay, take these people out into the community, like it's a singular noun, it's a place. It's never where we are. It includes McDonald's, Walmart, someplace to go bowling. It's the definition of the word community. But of course, we know that community's got to be bigger than that. It's got to be a much deeper, more meaningful definition. And so I started looking around, and one of the definitions I found that I thought was really interesting was out of Google definitions. It's a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. I kind of like that. I think we can go even further, though. Here's my definition after giving it a lot of thought. I think community is the art of sharing who we are. For me, it is not a noun. It is absolutely a verb. It is dynamic. It is flexible. It bends. It grows. It's changing all the time. For me, community's got to be something that is really, really unique to each of us. So the question is, as professionals, how do we help people build their own community? That's really the question that I think we have to answer. In Fairfield County, where I work, we serve about 1,200 people in Central Ohio. And we started to tackle this issue about 2 years ago. And we found out something really, really quick. One is that we had a lot of information about the people that we serve, and we had almost no information about what resources were available around us. We had partners in the community. That was not a big deal. I mean, and those were glorious, the ones that we had. But in terms of actually developing those resources, we didn't have anything. So we decided we needed to put together a database. And 2 years in, we've developed something much more than a database. We call it the Community Connections Manager. And at its heart, it's meant to do this. We keep track of the people we serve, we keep track of those resources we have in the community, and then we find really creative ways to combine the two. Think of it as eHarmony for people who are trying to create a community. How we do that is best done through some examples. So let's say we're working with Mother Teresa. Just imagine that she's still with us for a second. Okay, now we know a lot about Mother Teresa, right? She's a hard worker. She loves people. She's trustworthy. She's honest. She doesn't mind getting her hands dirty. These are all good things. It should be really easy to help Mother Teresa find a job. So what we do is we look around the web, and we've taken resources, and it's amazing how much stuff is out there that we can share right now. So the first place we go to find a job is the ONET database. Now, a lot of you, I'm sure probably everybody in this room knows ONET. I didn't when we started this project. But so it's the central repository for all things having to do with vocational study at the federal level. They track 1,110 occupations, and God bless them, it is absolutely public domain. You can download it. They even have instructions on how to use it. So we've downloaded all of those occupations into the software. What we've done for Mother Teresa, we picked 2 that we thought would be appropriate, nursing assistant and home health aides. Once you have that, there's a bunch of other information then that we can hone into really quickly. So from the Bureau of Vocational, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we can find out what that expected growth is in each of those occupations for the next 10 years. We color code that, so if it's over 20%, we make that yellow. If it's occupation in decline, we code it red. If you want to learn more, you click the Learn More button, and it goes out to ONET Online and gives you a summary report. That summary report is actually kind of fictitious. It's 7 pages long. It tells you everything you want to know about that occupation, crosswalks to other careers, certifications you're going to need, activities you're going to do in that job. And if you want more information, they've got that too. Then we found another place, Career One Stop. It turns out they have videos that they've already created for over half of those careers. Over 500 videos are out there. So we tap into that as well. So you can sit down with the person you're working with, click that button, and they can see what it's like to do that career. CareerOneStop.com if you're looking at that. In Ohio, we have an extra little advantage. We have something called Ohio Means Jobs. It's our primary job search site. And although that's not public domain, it's actually operated by Monster.com. After messing with ONET for a couple months, we found out that Ohio Means Jobs uses ONET codes to do their searches. So we can seed a search to Ohio Means Jobs using the 2 occupations that we selected for Mother Teresa and doing a 20-mile radius search around where she lives in Lancaster, Ohio. And when I ran this search a couple of weeks ago, preparing for this, we found 76 live jobs within a 20-mile radius around where she lives. Pretty powerful. And then every time you run the search, so once you set this up, every time you come in, the list you get is the list of live jobs ready for that person. Pretty fun. Now this is great if you're working with Mother Teresa, but what if you're working with somebody who might be a little more challenging, somebody who has a few more hoops to jump through? Let's say we're working with Charlie Sheen. Okay. We know a lot about Charlie too, right? Charlie has had his share of good jobs. But he has trouble holding him down. He has problems with his mouth, he has problems with drugs, and let's not even talk about his personal space issues. This is a guy who's not going to find a job in the one ads. He's more likely to roll it up and smoke it. So we have to figure out a way to connect with him. So for him, it's really going to be based on relationships. And so this is where the Community Connections Manager really shines. What we do is we have a set of attributes, and these are editable. Right now we have about 40, but we're growing that as we feel it's necessary. The attributes are general concepts. We spent a lot of time trying to figure this one out. We went very, very concrete, then we went very, very abstract. Right now we're at this conceptual level. So it's things like, I like to work with other people, I like to work by myself. I like things to be the same every day. I really like it when things are different. I want to be inside, outside. You ask a bunch of these questions, and then we list those attributes here. We do that both for the individuals we're working with and with every community contact that we have. What happens then is that the computer can come in and do a match for us to see how well they match. So in this case, we have 6 matches for Charlie, or 6 attributes for Charlie. This tells us that the Pink Cricket matches on 4 of those. The Pink Cricket, where I live, is a nice little beer and pizza joint. Great for Charlie, probably. That would be good. And then, of course, the Rising Park Poker Club, which is fictitious, but I think would really be a good match as well. I've also included some other matches that the computer made that probably wouldn't be appropriate. So you see Abington of Pickerington, a Catholic-based nursing home. Okay, maybe not a good fit. So even though the computer can help us, guide us towards a possible solution, it doesn't take out the need for our own intelligence to say, yeah, maybe that's good, maybe it's not. You'll also notice here that we have distance in miles. We have geolocation software built into this so we can keep track of how far each person lives from each community contact that we have. That does a couple of things. One is that for us, especially where we are, transportation is the weakest link in our service chain. It's the hardest part to conquer. So if we can create communities that are close to home, they're going to be stronger. Not only are you going to be more reliable with those, but also they're going to see those contacts that they make more and more often. I think it's going to be much easier to keep those communities building. In fact, we even made it, and before I leave here, I just want to point out something else. You'll see at the bottom, we also have social and vocational radio buttons there. That's because we look at both social connections and vocational connections. Something we learned with our own sheltered workshop situation is that the people who failed in the community and came back to the sheltered workshop often weren't failing because they couldn't do the job. They were coming back because they were lonely. They were missing all their social connections. So we're very, very aware that if we want this to be successful, we need to be just as cognizant of the social connections they have in their community they build as they are with their job. So, but let's say that the most important thing for them is to actually stay close to home. So you can just look here for any connection that's close to their home. In this case, within a 5-mile radius of where we have Charlie living in Lancaster, he has 68 contacts within a 5-mile radius. You can make that radius whatever you want and hone in right to where they need to be. So as important as it is for the connections that we're making for the individuals, the heart of the system really is creating and cultivating community connections. And so there are two really critical things that I want to point out here. One is that we assign a liaison for every single community connection that we have. That liaison has two very important jobs. The first one is to make sure that we don't have 20 people jumping in on a new connection. It's very, very important that we don't bury any connection with this. The second thing is that they're charged with helping create a relationship with that community connection that takes them from an acquaintance to being a true friend of our program. We've never done that before. This is all brand new to us. But that idea that we're actually making people responsible for creating that relationship is really important because this is the new machinery. This is the new program. This is what's going to help us get the job done that we haven't been able to do before. The second thing we do is that we rate our experiences with those community connections. That's for a couple of reasons. One is so that we know how close we are. We have a way of measuring how that relationship is going. The other thing is when things are going bad with a relationship, it does a bunch of things. We automatically notify certain people in our program that we've had a bad experience so they can start to help fix that. Also, if we have somebody going into a situation and it's gone bad or has had trouble, they know the situation before they go in. They're not going in blind when our job developers and other people go into that thing. We actually rate people with stars, so we have gold, silver, and bronze stars. I used to have green, yellow, and red skull and crossbones, but people told me that wasn't positive, so we had to take that out. I'm still thinking of making it an option. And then all the other screens on the community contact side work in reverse of the client screen. So in this case, we still have attributes that we attach to the community connection, but now when we look at the list is what people match that community connection. So if they call us up and say, hey, we have a job, who would do you have somebody you'd like to try here? We can actually come up with a list of people who would really be a good fit for that organization. So at the end of the day, here are our goals. We want to help people create their own communities, only with as much help from us as they need. We want them to be safe, we want them to be close to home, and we want them to be valued for who they are and the contributions they make. I have some additional information and some demo discs for anybody who would like to take one here at the front after we're done talking. Thank you for letting me share.